What's happening, everybody? Welcome to another episode here of the Side Guys Football Forum. I'm one of your co-hosts on the side, joined as always by my good friend, my good buddy, the other half of the Side Guys, Mr. Tad the Side. And Tad, looks like we had a cameo appearance, for a brief moment there.
We were so close. We were so close to a full episode appearance. Damn it.
No, I don't think we'd ever get a full episode appearance.
No, he's now playing with one of my hats. He's distracted otherwise. But we have more important things to discuss. So moving on.
In some people's eyes. In other people's eyes, we want more cat action.
No, exactly. He'll be back soon, I promise.
Yeah, but I think just the nature of your cat, I don't think we'll ever get a full episode of him being on. Unless you're set up on the couch and he was like chilling on your lap like he does and he's all comfortable, then there's a possibility. But yeah, you set up here at your desk, it's never gonna happen.
Yeah, no, just wait until the draft where we'll be on the couch. That may be the moment where it finally happens.
It's possible. It's very, very possible. But yeah, speaking of the draft, we're continuing on with our draft content for you. We teased this in our last episode. We're going to be going into the tight end position group in today's episode, getting into some just discussion as far as just, which teams could take a tight end, because this is a very loaded tight end class. You can get a lot of great talent either early in the draft or later in the draft too. So, we're going to highlight some teams that may potentially tie an NFL record of taking 3 tight ends in the first round. So we're going to highlight some teams that could possibly set that, or, maybe Tad, outside the realm of possibility, it's not, that crazy. Maybe we'll see 4 tight ends. I really don't know. So, it's like, we're going to highlight some teams that could possibly take one in the first round. Then we're going to get into our discussion of some of the top end tight ends. And of course, we're going to close it out with a tight end that's probably not being talked about enough that could probably be a real difference maker at the next level, or a guy that maybe is being talked about too much. And maybe let's pump the brakes on his level, on his talent level there. We'll see exactly how it all pans out. So yeah, we'll get into that. But let's just sort of jump into it here, Tad. So like I talked about, the record for the most tight ends being drafted in the first round is 3. Can you remember the last year that happened, Tad?
Oh, God damn it. Man, I'm trying to think. Evan Ingram and OJ Howard were both in the same first round, correct?
They were both in the same first round, correct.
Okay. Shit, was there a third? I don't think there was a third tight end that year.
There was.
Oh, son of a bitch. So, okay, so I had the right year. Okay, can I get credit at least for that? For having
No, you can. You definitely can. Okay. But which year was that?
Oh, fucking balls if I know. 2017?
Yeah, that is the correct year.
All right, there we go.
But shit, who was the third one? Third tight end.
All right. Answer this for me. Evan Ingram, OJ Howard. Both of them went top 15, correct?
Yes, OJ Howard. No, my mistake. None of them went top 15.
Oh, shit. Okay. Okay, so the tight end I'm forgetting, did he go before or after them?
After.
Ah, shit. Can I get a division?
The AFC North.
AFC North. It's our fucking Raven, isn't it? Oh, shit. It's, I have no idea.
For once, it was not a Baltimore Raven. It was actually the Cleveland Browns. They took
Njoku.
Njoku.
Damn it.
So we had OJ Howard taken by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers out of the University of Alabama at number 19 overall. We had the New York Giants taking Evan Ingram, number 23 overall, out of the University of Ole Miss. And then David Njoku, number 29 overall, drafted by the Browns out of the University of Miami. But Tad, this was actually a pretty good tight end class as well. Yeah. We had Gerald Everett go in the second round to the Los Angeles Rams. We had Jonnu Smith. I know earlier in his career with the Titans, he looked pretty good. So he was taken by the Titans here in the 3rd round. Jake Butt out of the University of Michigan. There's a lot of
Nice.
promise for him. Unfortunately, he just dealt with so many injuries. He just was never
Tore
able
his
to build out.
his ACL in what I believe was the Fiesta Bowl.
Yeah, but then even getting to the NFL too, like even when he was with the Denver Broncos, that was the team that drafted him. He just never looked or was never able to see the field enough to be a difference maker there. And I think one of the bigger ones, Tad, George Kittle in the 5th round out of the University of Iowa.
I hate you. I hate you so much. How do the 49ers find sleeper after sleeper? The Colts are just like, hey, Jelani Woods.
Hey, I still have hope for Jelani.
Yeah,
Woods.
no,
He's my guy.
He's my guy. No one else. You and no one else.
Ride or die with Jelani Woods out of the University of Virginia.
It's going to be the latter, my friend.
But yes, that is the last time we've had a draft with 3 tight ends taken in the 1st round. That ties a record. So I think honestly, Tad, with this year's draft class, that could very much happen this year as well.
Sure. Absolutely.
There's a lot of great talent, and I think there's a lot of teams, in the 1st round that could use a tight end that are picking maybe towards the middle part to the 2nd half of the 1st round. That's like, this is where you could possibly see a tight end go. Like, I mean, we'll sort of get to this later, but we speculated that maybe some of these tight ends may possibly slip into the top 10. We'll see about that. But yeah, just highlighting some of the teams that I could see taking a tight end. We got to start with the Green Bay Packers at number 15 overall. So you look at their current starting group, they got Josiah DeGuara, Tyler Davis, Austin Allen. Not a lot of names that are going to jump out at you as far as these are guys you want starting for you. So honestly, you want to give Jordan Love enough weapons to succeed in this offense. I can see a reason as to why they would. But then to counter it as to why they won't take a tight end, well, Tad, I mean, we speculate this every single year with the draft as far as the Packers needing to draft a pass catcher in the 1st round. They have never done it. Well, okay, I won't say they've never done it. They haven't done it in a long time.
They haven't done it in long enough. Yeah.
2002, they took Javon Walker, the wide receiver, in the 1st round. Lord. And then in 2000, they took Bubba Franks, the tight end, in the 1st round. So it's been a long time. And I think the bigger thing, too, as well, is that I think they have other needs that they need to fill, like defensive tackle, offensive line, possibly even pass rush as well. So that's another reason why they won't go tight end. So let's get past the Packers. Let's get to number 18 with the Detroit Lions. They also pick at 6, but I think they'll go in a different direction at 6, with some of the talent on other positions. So I don't think they'll go tight end at 6, but 18 is very much a possibility. You look at the starters, they got Brock Wright, Shane Zylstra, I believe I'm saying that right, and one of the best out of San Jose State, Derek Deese Jr. Okay, maybe not one of the best, but I got to throw it out there.
Yeah, you're being very graceful with that title there, but okay.
With all the love you give to TCU alum, I have to give some to San Jose State.
Whoa! Hey, I've earned mine.
So obviously very similar to the Green Bay Packers. They traded away TJ Hawkinson to the Minnesota Vikings. So they have a hole. Like, I mean, the names I listed are, we saw some flashes from Brock Wright, Shane Zylstra at times, but it's just nothing very long-term as far as success that we've seen with either of those guys. So that's a reason why they could go tight end. And the reason they won't go tight end is that this offense runs through the running game. So I don't think they have a need to fill the tight end position. Maybe they anchor that at the offensive line. Like I said, they go in a different direction with other positions because they flow more through the running game. They just signed David Montgomery in the offseason. They obviously have DeAndre Swift. So, there's a possibility they may not go tight end then there. Let's jump to 26 with the Dallas Cowboys. They just let Dalton Schultz walk to the Houston Texans. So their current starters right now are Jake Ferguson, who they drafted last year, and then Peyton Hendershot, who they use sometimes as a fullback, H-back type of guy, as a tight end, fullback sort of thing. So maybe they could use them as a combination starting tight end there. But yeah, biggest thing is you need to upgrade because you just let Dalton Schultz go. You didn't want to pay him all that money. So you got a free agent. You got a rookie here who's a lot cheaper, who could probably replicate that sort of production with the talent that we have at the top of the tight end draft class there.
Also, easy award winner for best backup name is Peyton Hendershot. Good Lord, that is a great name. And so, especially for a guy in Texas like that, people are going to love that.
Yeah. And then you look at the reason as to why they won't. Well, they just traded for Brandon Cooks from the Houston Texans. They also
For
traded for
some
Stephon
reason.
Gilmore on the defense. So it's like, I'm
For
not
some
saying that they
reason.
won't overload the offense because that's very much a Dallas type of thing to do. But you look at that, maybe they feel comfortable. They got CeeDee Lamb, they got Michael Gallup, they got Brandon Cooks, obviously, right now. They got the running game with Tony Pollard. So it's like, maybe they decide that's like, okay, we don't need to add a pass catcher here. They address other needs, upgrade the defense a little bit more, maybe upgrade some other positions on offense as opposed to tight end. A couple more teams here I want to list out. We have the Cincinnati Bengals at number 28. So their current starters, Irv Smith Jr. That could be an interesting signing by them. We'll see if he could develop there. But just so far in his career, we saw a lot of potential, just haven't seen it on the field enough yet. And then Devin Asiasi, one of the former New England Patriots draftees, when they drafted him and Dalton Keene, hoping to replicate what they had with Aaron Hernandez and Rob Gronkowski, but it just never materialized. Not the same talent level there. So they obviously could take a tight end with them letting Hayden Hurst go to Carolina now. He is signed there. So maybe they follow the same route that the Dallas Cowboys were thinking, where you sign a cheaper option who can hopefully replicate the same amount of production that you have there. But just, also, like I said, another reason why they won't take a tight end possibly is they have other holes to fill. They're pretty good on offense. They have 3 stud receivers with T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Jamar Chase. Obviously, Joe Burrow can make do with what he has. So maybe they don't need a tight end in the first round. They can go in a different direction there. And then the last team I want to bring up here, the New Orleans Saints. So they have starters Juwan Johnson, who is actually not bad as far as fantasy purposes, looked pretty good. They have Adam Troutman, who they drafted in the second round a couple of years ago. So there's a little bit of potential there. And then, of course, you had to list him here. Taysom Hill is technically a tight end. So
tight end.
Use him at that position. Obviously, they use him in so many different ways. So, they do have some potential there. So maybe they use like a combination of all those guys as their starting tight end. So you look at why they would take a tight end, with injuries to the offense last season. Michael Thomas was out, Jarvis Landry. So many other guys were hurt. So it's like they had a little bit of, their offense sucked a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And then because of that, the defense suffered too. And because of that, the defense suffered as well. So you look at this, they just signed Derek Carr. Obviously, they want to make sure that they can get the most out of him as well by signing him. So maybe they go with a tight end at the very bottom of the first round here at number 29. But then the reason that they may not is that, once again, they have bigger issues that they need to address besides the tight end position. They lost some pass rushers, so they need to upgrade that. They could probably use some help with the secondary as well, offensive line. So, they're always in cap hell, Tad. They always are. So this is usually the way they can sort of get out of it. They draft all these rookies and they let some of their high-paid free agents leave in free agency then because they got all these rookies in the back there. So maybe they do something like that again. But those are 5 teams I want to highlight. But Tad, are there any other teams that you consider here may go the route of taking a tight end here in the first round?
Oh, yeah. I've got a couple teams. But first off, I just need to point out that I do not have teams or reasons why these teams will not select tight ends. Do you want to know why? It's called being an optimist. It's called being an optimist, Mark.
All right, fair.
Try to be hopeful for once in your life. My God, always looking at the negative things. So anyway, let's look at the positive. What teams could get better through the draft? I feel like Dora the Explorer here, but whatever. We're going to run with it. All right. First team you looked over, and this is a prime team that I think will actually end up trading out of the top 10, the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, I know a lot of people are going to go, well, no, they have Austin Hooper. They have O.J. Howard. They have some dude named Jesper Horsted. Give you $5 if you could tell me a single thing about that dude. But bottom line is, yes, they do have these veterans at the position already, but you do not sign Jimmy Garoppolo. You do not get Josh Jacobs on a 1-year deal. You don't have a very unhappy Devontae Adams, since he probably won't be playing, not even probably anymore. He will not be playing with Aaron Rodgers. You need to make these people happy. And so you are in win now mode. If there is a more talented tight end in this draft, and we'll discuss that. Maybe there is or isn't over these veterans. But if you believe one of them is more talented, you need to go for it now, because this offense is clearly where Las Vegas is leading. All their strength into. We are going to be an offensive led team. And so that's why, honestly, again, that's why they are one of my top picks to trade out of the top 10, because you can move down 5 or 6 spots and still get the tight end you want. So keep an eye out for Las Vegas. Tennessee Titans. Should I even try their starting tight end name? Do you know it?
Oh, of course I know it. That's why you have to try.
Should I try it?
Yes.
This might get slightly racist. Oh, man. Chigazium Okonkwo?
Actually, that was pretty good. That was pretty
Okay,
good.
what's
It's
the first
Chigazie
name?
Makonko. Yeah, no, you got it right.
Oh,
You
shit.
got it right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. There we go.
If you want to
So,
short it,
yeah.
I've always heard Chigs Okonkwo, so you could do that as well. But yeah,
So
Chigazie, you're actually pretty good.
Chick. We'll just say Chick. We'll just
Yeah,
say
there you
Chick. So yeah, so Chick is their starter, which tells you all you need to know about their starting tight end situation going on with Trayvon. Why do I do this to myself? Westcoa? Trayvon Westcoa, I believe, being their backup.
That one I'm not sure on. Yeah,
yeah,
you got me.
It's all this to say they need some tight end help. So let me tell you. So I think if the receiver they like isn't there, because there is a real possibility that Najigba and Quinn Johnson both could be gone by then. I don't think it's likely, but it is a possibility. And with both the Bears and the Raiders needing offensive line help, excuse me. Both Paris Johnson and why do I do this to myself? Every time I do this to myself. Skronsky?
Yeah, you actually you're on a roll right now. You're on a roll.
Right, yeah, all right. Hey, don't jinx me. Don't jinx me. But the Northwestern guy, if he's gone and Paris Johnson are gone before the Titans select, tight end is very much in the running because they need somebody between Traylon Burks and whoever they select at in the first round to be building blocks with that offense. Because Ryan Tannehill's gone, Malik Willis. Probably not their quarterback in the future, so they need to build as many weapons as they can. You're laughing. What did I do?
Nothing. I still have hope in Malik Willis, but yeah,
I
you're
don't.
pessimistic on it. That's fine. That's fine.
No, he did not look good enough. Other teams is the Washington Commanders. Logan Thomas is 31 years old, so going with a solid starting tight end like Michael Mayer to kind of develop behind him as they are going in with McLaurin and stuff like that as a solid building block for the future. Not totally out of the realm, especially that late in the first round. That's kind of where successful teams make their moves. Trust me, as a Colts fan, if you don't draft for the future in that area, you will regret it. And then the last two teams is the Los Angeles Chargers. Look, Gerald Everett and let's see, Donald Parham, Trey McKitty. Nobody's bad in that depth chart, but Gerald Everett only has 1 year left on his contract. So finding a long-term answer for tight end, especially since you have a long-term answer in Justin Herbert, who has proven that he loves a good athletic tight end and a class full of good athletic tight ends, this might be the time just to pull the trigger and go for one, just so you can start developing that chemistry right away. And then finally, this one's a bit of a Hail Mary, but Kansas City Chiefs at number 31. Travis Kelce, this is insane. He's going to be 34 in October. So, yes, it sucks, but it might be time to start looking for a successor. And God knows if I'm Kansas City, I want his successor learning under him for at least a year or two before he takes over. So Kansas City could be a dark horse for a tight end as well.
Interesting. Yeah, those are very viable options for sure. When you're picking in the middle of the first round, exactly like you said, or the end of the first round, you're sort of thinking about you
had that luxury.
Assets.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Your luxury pick. Exactly. That's the best way to sort of label it there, where you sort of need to think about not only are they possibly going to start this year, but you're more thinking about, are they going to start in year 2? Definitely by year 3, they need to be a starter on your roster sort of thing. So yeah, you look at a team like Kansas City who just won the Super Bowl. You add a very capable tight end in a Michael Mayer, Dalton, Kincaid, Darnell, Washington, whoever at that spot to learn under Travis Kelce, arguably one of the best tight ends in the league right now.
Travis Kelce and Darnell Washington together. Just imagine that.
It would be dangerous for years to come for sure. So yeah, we'll see exactly how it plays out, but I'm very much in the realm of just 3 tight ends could be taken in the first round. Like definitely 2. I think 2 for sure.
2 for sure.
Not sure about the third one, but I'm leaning towards yes.
I think
there
3,
will be 3. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
let's do 2 for sure. Mm-hmm. The first one is unquestioned, and we'll get into this. Yeah. Second one is up for debate, and the third one, it's all about what team likes them. Because I really do feel like a team's going to fall in love with – because here's the crazy thing about this year's tight end class is they are just so damn athletic. Like, there are so many of them where I'm like, you should be allowed – you're 6'6". You should not be allowed to run that fast. That is against the rules. That is not allowed, sir. But they still do it.
It's very
so
true.
It just depends on if the right playoff contender falls in love with that third guy. But let's talk about who that third guy will be. So, Amir, top 3 tight ends, go. I'm glad you sound so excited.
No, because you may be surprised by this one. So I think for
Okay.
me, number one, you definitely got to go with Michael Mayer. Like, I mean, just looking at
Yeah,
this tight end draft class, you see him. I think he's just a very good all around prospect. You see him block well. You see him be a really good receiver. And I'm not saying he's a perfect prospect. He definitely has some work to do at the next level. Like, I mean, some of his blocking technique could definitely be refined. Is he a good pass catcher? Yes, but some of his route running may not be as sharp as it needs to be. He's not a deep threat, so he's going to be able to get you on these short yardage gains, and definitely in the red zone, he's going to be a dangerous threat. But yeah, he's not a guy that, you know, like a Travis Kelce, that you can send him up the seam and he's going to be able to beat all the defenders on a deep route sort of thing, or Vernon Davis in his prime sort of thing. It's like, he is not that type of guy, but he is a guy who will consistently move the chains for you, you know, on these crucial third downs. Definitely if you need a safety option, like all the other wide receivers are blocked up and you need a guy to just get the ball out so you can live for the next play, he's definitely that guy who can move the chains for you, get you down the field for sure. But yeah, I think when you look at the best tight end in this class, you had to look at Michael Mayer because he's just so well-rounded. And I mean, do you disagree there?
No, the reason I'm laughing is because you are the only person that would still bring up Vernon Davis in 2023. That's the reason I'm laughing.
You know it.
But no, I mean, you said nothing I disagree with there, and it sounds so weird when you're scouting Michael Mayer, because yes, there's nothing he does fantastically well, but he just does everything well enough where he is a good enough route runner. He is a good enough, you know, run after the catch type of player. He is a good enough blocker where he's just better than everybody else, where you just know what you're going to get is solid. You are not going to get a game-changing tight end, but he's one of the, honestly, and again, I haven't scouted enough first-round candidates yet to make this determination, but as of now, he is the safest first-round pick you can make, in my opinion. You know what you're going to get, which is a safe, dependable tight end. So I really like this comparison. Are you ready for my NFL comp, Amir? It's not Hall of Famer, I swear. It's not Hall of Famer, I promise.
All right, let's hear it.
He's Dalton Schultz.
Interesting. Okay.
You know he's going to be dependable. You know he's always going to be there open. You know he's always going to be a legitimate weapon that needs attention, but he's just never going to quite be, you know, up to par. Like he's Jason Witten, but less. And I know people are going to go, well, why should I spend a first round pick on him? Well, look at what happened to OJ Howard, where you really swing for the fences with these ultra athletic tight ends. I'd much rather have the, you know, slightly less, because God knows I'm not saying Michael Mayer is not athletic, because I think he could, you know, throw me about 2 miles if I did that. But take a slightly less athletic tight end that is more dependable. That is exactly what you get in Michael Mayer. So he is just the most dependable, the safest option at tight end this year. And it would be shocking if he was not the first tight end off the board.
Yeah, and I think I very much like the fact that you said he's one of the safer picks, not just at the tight end position, but I think just overall out of all the first round picks this year that are slated to be first round picks, right? Yeah, I think he's one of those picks that's like, you make that pick whether you take him as early as, you know, you were saying potentially Raiders could take him at number 7, or you take him as late as, like, you know, maybe even the 18 pick where I had the Green Bay Packers slated right there, or 15, I can't remember.
Well, Packers are taking a 13. Let's get real here.
The Lions are at 18. My mistake there. So it's like, either anywhere you take him, I think you're going to get the same player. Obviously, he's going to be productive for you. He's going to be reliable for you. He's going to be one of those veterans that eventually be one of those veterans that just like always you can rely on him to be on the field, to do his job well, and really be a key contributor for your offense and be a good leader for your team as well. So yeah, I like Michael Mayer to be number 1. Number 2, I know you possibly have a swap here at one point we were discussing, not just before today's episode, but earlier in a couple of weeks too. But I still have Dalton Kincaid at the University of Utah at number 2 here. I still have him at number 2, but I think you disagree here.
Well, all right. So why don't you talk about Kincaid first, and then I'll say why you're wrong.
Interesting. All right. But I think what you see in Dalton Kincaid is you see very much the skills in the modern day tight end, right? Where it's like, you want that athletic tight end. You want that receiving threat. Like, I mean, I hate to bring this name up, but he's the best in the game right now. And that's Travis Kelce, where it's like, you could rely on him to get you through the game and beat you, you know, through the air and sort of give an extra dimension to your offense, right? Like, I mean, he's just an excellent receiver. Jump back to Kincaid here. I think everybody knows about Kelsey, but just an excellent receiver, shows good speed when he's in open field. Former basketball player, Ted. I don't know if you know that. So, I mean, it's like you see some of those skills on the tape and the
Okay,
film
great.
that you're
So
watching as well.
he's the next Tony Gonzalez, where I have to hear that fucking 3 times every weekend.
Tony Gonzalez, Antonio Gaze, Jimmy Graham, throw in
Antonio Gates
whichever
is a good
tight
one,
end
yeah.
that formerly played basketball in there, and you'll hear it there for
who's
sure.
the big guy that played for the Seahawks and Saints? Jimmy
Jimmy Graham. I
Graham.
just said that.
Jimmy
Yeah.
Graham.
So I mean, you see it there. He can box out defenders. He sets up the defensive backs. Has good balance and can high point balls, so he's able to sort of catch over the defenders because of his boxing out and leaping abilities, athleticism there. Receives the ball easily, and he's willing to get to work as well after he catches the ball. Very much like a guy when he gets the ball in the paint, he's ready to go to work to get the basket. In this case, Dalton Kincaid catches the ball. He's ready to get some yak yards for you after he catches the ball. Like, I mean, you see the basketball skills on the field for sure.
Okay, so I don't disagree with a single thing you said. Dalton Kincaid is a great receiver. If I said otherwise, I'd be a moron. And I am not a moron in most cases. So here's my issue. The dude's physicality, he is 6'4", barely 250. That guy does not have as of now, he could bulk up when it comes to the NFL, but as of now, he does not have the physicality needed to be a successful tight end in the NFL. If he is stuffed at the line, when he is put on the offensive line off the snap, he is not able to get that separation there. He is a glorified, big, fast slot receiver. Nothing wrong with that, but my entire problem with him is that there are all the physical tools for him to succeed, but he has shown me none of the physical strength or physical capabilities to get to the next level. So I think if he goes to the right team that can utilize him correctly, sure, he may be able to succeed, but that's not what I want from a first round tight end. I don't want you to be in the right system. I want you as a physical freak that can succeed in any system I put you in. And right now he is not that. He is a glorified, bigger, slower, outside receiver that just happens to play tight end because where he went to college.
No, and I 100% agree with you. I was going to get to all that, where it's just like you don't see the blocking.
Yeah, I know. That's why I want to get the jump on you.
Of course. So yeah, you're not drafting this guy because he's a great blocker, because he's not. He has the ability. He recognizes when he needs to pick up blocks, but exactly like I said, he doesn't have the build. He doesn't have the frame. He doesn't have
the finesse.
Exactly.
The finesse.
He doesn't showcase that enough where you see where, okay, I can develop this sort of thing. So I don't think he can't. I think he will, depending on the right team. But it's just like, you're not keeping him. He's not an inline tight end. You look at Michael Mayer. He's an inline tight end. You look at, we'll get to him. Darnell Washington. He's an inline tight end. Dalton Kincaid is a guy that you keep off to the side. You could possibly use him like on the backside. So very similar to like, an H-back. Like I said, you use him like almost like a glorified fullback sort of thing, where it's like you use him like that. You could put him way on the outside as well. Like, I mean, he has that ability because of the receiving skills and the release that he gets off the line. But yes, 100% agree. He is not a guy that you keep on your offensive line, maybe for a chip to get out onto a receiving pattern, but he's not a guy you keep in to block for sure, unless he builds up his frame and you develop the technique that he needs to be as a blocker at the next level. But I mean, I disagree that I think he could fit any offense, because any offense needs an extra pass catcher, and especially a guy like Dalton Kincaid, who, yes, you said is a glorified slot receiver, but at his size, for him to do what he can, that's a mismatch against all nickel corners and most linebackers as well. So definitely that's an advantage that you want in your offense for sure. So yeah, I agree he's not the best blocker, but I think that will come with time.
Well, I'm not saying that he's not worth a early draft pick. I'm just saying that's why I'm not convinced he's the second tight end off the board. Okay, because for a tight end, I want that dual role, right? I want a blocker combined with the dynamic receiver. And is that an easy ask? No. But that's why you're, one of the top 3 tight ends off the board. And so if Kincaid went in the second round, or even at, like pick 28 later, sure, okay, I think that's worth it, because you're exactly right. Is probably with a team that has that, luxury of being able to play around with them a bit. Okay, what is your role here? But if you're a team looking for like, this is our starting tight end of the future, I am just not convinced Kincaid can be that guy.
That's fair. But all right, I think we know who your number 2 tight end is then, which I'll let you speak to.
All right. It's Darnell Washington. I mean, how can you not love this guy? This is 6'7", 265 pounds of pure awesomeness. This dude is amazing. Here's the best part. Okay. So we all know just because of his pure physicality that he can block. Okay. So the blocking is not a question of, sure, he can use a little bit of work on his blocking technique, but that is very easily coachable, especially because the tight end coach knows he got coach up these young guys to be more like an offensive lineman. That's really easy, especially if you have a veteran offensive lineman on the team that's like, hey, let me teach you some stuff. And here's the best part is the biggest question about Washington was, can he succeed as receiver? And that is one thing, and I know I trashed it during our recap episode, but that is a rare case where the combine actually showed, oh, this person can succeed in areas where they haven't shown it before. Darnell Washington is a better receiver than people thought, because that is the big knock on him, because his college production was not great, but that's because Brock Bowers, who, by the way, will be a top 10 pick next year, he just took all the attention away. And Georgia and Kirby Smart, smartly so, said, well, we don't need two tight ends running around the field. Why don't we keep Washington back and have Bowers run all over the place? And Washington, which shows he's a great team player, said, sure. And now he is showing that, no, I can catch the ball. I am a good receiver. So Darnell Washington has all those physical attributes that shows that he can develop into the prototypical starting NFL tight end and then some. Like, this dude is a physical monster. He has all the skills there. He just needs good coaching to develop into that. So that is why this dude is unquestionably my second best tight end, because yes, you are taking some risk there. It is a developmental project, but all the promise there is so worth it, because if you can tap into that, my God, you have the next Rob Gronkowski on your hands.
Yeah, I don't have Darnell Washington in my top 3.
Yeah, how dare you? You're wrong. You're just wrong.
Wrong.
That's just wrong. Explain yourself. That's horrific. That is horrific.
100%. I'll explain myself.
No. Hold on. That is absolutely horrific. This man is going to be the next tight end NFL star. God damn it. He is going to make me regret this, but screw it. I'm running with it. Like, how can you possibly, even just potential alone, he should be in the top 3 just for the sake that he could be the next George Kittle. He could be the next Travis Kelce. We talk about tight ends all the time like these guys, but this is the one guy who actually has all the physical stats that are similar to them and that has the catching and blocking abilities to do what they do. Like, how? How is that possible?
Yeah, get a Kleenex, bro. That was nasty, man.
No, I'm sorry.
Like, control yourself.
Yeah, now
explain why I don't like Darnell Washington.
Now you see how fired up I'm getting about this.
Oh, all you people on the podcast are so grateful that you did not see what I saw at all the YouTube viewers.
Fucking allergies, man. Holy shit.
So the big thing is, you laid it out already. It's the key word, potential. The 2 key words, could be. So I'm not saying that he can't be the next great tight end, but just I've seen so many times in past drafts where people get in love with the, make and build, with the athleticism that a tight end can potentially bring, and it doesn't work out. You brought up this name earlier, OJ Howard. He had the production at Alabama, but what happened when he got to the next level? Yes, I know he dealt with some injuries. He did look good at times, but just overall, he was not the same talent that we saw when we saw him at Alabama. Tad, this tight end may be before your time, before you got more into the NFL, but there's a tight end by the name of Jeremy Stevens, who was drafted by the Seattle Seahawks. Very similar make and build to Darnell Washington, and he didn't pan out either. There's times where he looked okay, but just the potential of, like you said, being drafted in the first round, he needs to be a difference maker for at least 5 to 10 years. And with Stevens, it didn't happen that long either. Yes, he also had off the field issues, which obviously derailed his career too. But just I think you're just banking so much on the potential. Now, now obviously, if he realizes the potential, this is Washington we're talking about. Yes, he'll be a home run, excellent pick. This is part of the reason why maybe you're not so high on Jelani Woods either. He is the same size make and build as Darnell Washington. So it's you have to realize that. I think it's just so much to bank on just potential, because we've seen this sort of not work out for a lot of these big physical tight ends that show the athleticism, that show the speed, that unfortunately just once they get to the next level, The defenders are better. The defenders are bigger. They're able to scheme better for these guys because as a bigger tight end, also, they're not as, able to get low enough to set up good run blocking as well. I saw this a lot on the tape with Georgia where it's like he's just so big and physical compared to all the defenders on the field. Like he's a man amongst boys. So that's why he was so good at blocking a lot of the time. He was relying a lot on his just physical build to just overpower a lot of these defenders. Whereas once you get to the next level, he needs to have better technique. I know you said he needs to get that coached up for sure. So 100% he does, but just I think a lot of the times he's going to rely more on his physical prowess as opposed to technique and getting proper hand placement, setting up with good footwork sort of thing. So that's going to hurt him in the blocking game. In the receiving game, like, yes, he's going to be a mismatch, but just the biggest thing is just he needs to work on his route running. His hands, he has got natural hands sort of thing, so he's going to be a good receiver. We saw that amazing grab that he had at the combine, the one-handed grab on the deep fade drill or whatever it was, but just like that was sensational. So it's like you see it there. But I guess for me, like I said, I think it's just a lot to bank on for a first-round pick on too much potential with this guy. So I think he's going to be a good prospect, but he's not going to be that excellent, superior, superb prospect that you're drafting in the first round. So that's why he's out of my top 3. And you want to know who my number 3 is?
Sure.
I'll give you a guess because you're actually going to bring up this name later.
Sam Laporta?
No, it's not Sam Laporta, but I am really high on him. We will talk about him a little bit later.
Luke Musgrave?
It is Luke Musgrave.
Yeah, you son of a bitch. You goddamn bastard. Of course you make us end on an agreement. All right. So you say what you love about Luke Musgrave. I'll say what I love and want with your guy, you bastard.
So I won't spend a ton of time on Luke Musgrave because I know you wanted to talk about this guy as just one guy that we're not being taught, that as a guy that we're not talking enough about, or maybe not talking too much about. I don't know. We'll see about your opinion there on Luke Musgrave. But for me, like I said, I have him at number 3 because yes, I agree. Like you said,
you like him more than Darnell Washington. Okay, sorry.
Well, I'll get into it. So you brought this up before.
That's absolutely mind blowing to me. But just okay.
So I think for me, like you said, you brought this up. I think it was an episode ago, or maybe it was 2 episodes ago, where if Luke Musgrave didn't get hurt his final year at Oregon State, we'd be talking about him easily being in the top 3. Like you wouldn't even question it either.
Top 3 tight ends. Top 3 tight ends. We need to clarify that.
Yes, top 3 tight ends. Exactly. So unfortunately, the injury hurt him a little bit, literally, and obviously figuratively in the draft stock as well. So, we aren't seeing him being talked about in that top 3 conversation. But what I've seen as far as tape, like you're seeing a blend of Michael Mayer and Dalton Kincaid on a lower level. Like, I mean, you're seeing the skills as far as being a good blocker. You're seeing the skills as far as being a good receiver. He's got good speed. He's got good athleticism. He's got great awareness when he's picking up blocks and recognizing that, okay, here's a blitzing defender on this side. I need to make sure I shift over to that side to pick up that defender, or at least chip him to give my quarterback enough time. So it's like, I see a lot of these good qualities that you want in a tight end, as far as also all around tight end, right? So I think that's the key there. So it's like, I see more polish with Luke Musgrave. So that's something I'm more confident in because I've seen it more consistently on tape with him to warrant justifying possibly taking him in the first round. Now, there obviously are some knocks on him. Like, I mean, he's not the greatest blocker. He obviously needs a lot more skills there. His route running is not as sharp as it needs to be, but just as a difference maker, if you're thinking about a potential first round tight end, he'd be a perfect candidate, like you said, to be at that, final 5 picks, final 4 picks, whatever, final quarter of the first round to take him here because he's got a lot of potential. And I think he could sort of develop that. But like I said, with potential, I think he's already pretty good as a ready-made product too. Whereas with Washington, I don't know if you can start him day one. I think he still needs a little bit of work, and he'll start maybe a little bit midway through the season if he could get on the right track. But that's the thing that worries me about Darnell Washington, which is why I have him at 4. I'm not saying he's out of my top 5 or anything like that. I have him at 4, but I have Musgrave at 3.
All right, now fair enough, and there is a lot to love about Musgrave, and I think you are absolutely right, exactly like what you said. Musgrave does his play need more refinement? Absolutely. What part of his play needs refinement? Basically everything, which is why he took the backseat to Washington for me, because Washington at the worst, you plug that dude in, you basically have an extra offensive lineman there at the very, very worst. So Musgrave is pretty close to the same at 6'6", 250 pounds. But the thing I like the most about him is, like, he has, again, it's a lot like Washington. In case you can't tell, I have a type for tight ends. Is like, it's just the big athletic types. I love them. Like, I fall in love with them. I want to marry them. Like, I want them on my team. And yeah, I said it. I will stand by it. And like, it's just I really see the promise with both of them. Now, the thing is, the reason I have Washington higher is I think his ceiling is higher than
Oh,
Musgrave's.
100%.
I think
100%.
okay,
I
okay.
100% agree with you that if he hits on everything and he proves all, well, I guess I'm pretty much the main doubter here. I don't know if I've seen so many others, but just like if he can hit on everything that the potential is, yes,
He
he
being
is by
Washington, he
far
being
going to
Washington.
be the best tight end in this class that comes out of it. But just like I said, I think it's just a lot for me to bank on with that potential. It's just I have seen so many more failures compared to successes with these types of players. So
No, that's fair. And call me a believer, and this may be the one
yeah,
that
that's
finally
fair.
burns me to the
I
point where
I
I'm not
I
a believer.
admire
But
your optimism with this then.
yeah, well, I'm optimistic for once in my life, but
True.
it's probably gonna burn me again.
Oh
But yeah,
gosh,
see,
we'll see.
he being Musgrave, going back to him, he only played 2 games in his senior season, but even just as a rookie, he's Mike Gesicki 2.0. He is a big body, or a Pat Fryermuth 2.0, where he's
Yeah.
just a big body that sure needs a lot of polish on their game, but yeah, plug him in there, and they are a red zone target easy. So that's why he is the perfect second or third round target, is because at the very worst, great. Now you have a big body for your quarterback to kind of work with in the red zone. And then hopefully you develop him into a, more refined athlete, more refined tight end moving on. But for now, Musgrave is like, I don't know. I don't want to say can't miss candidate, but there's very little downside to drafting him.
Yeah.
Like it's very hard to imagine that he just busts absolutely entirely.
No, 100% with Musgrave for sure. And like we talked about, this is a deep tight end class. So it's like, even if you miss out or decide not to go with one of those first 3 tight ends, whether that's, Mayer, Kincaid, Washington, or possibly Musgrave in my case, you could still get a lot of great tight ends in the middle rounds as
You can do
well.
what the Ravens did last year, like triple dip at the position.
Because there is that much talent out there this year. So
Like
I mean,
that. It's like
you
the
can
episode of Seinfeld. Did you just double dip? Yes.
100%. So yeah, you could still get good talent there. So there's another guy that I want to bring up that we'll go sort of close out the episode here. Sam Laporta, University of Iowa.
Oh
We
yeah,
brought up this name earlier. So
Combine winner.
yeah, I think 100%. He had a very, very strong combine for sure. But I mean, Ted, tight ends from Iowa. I mean, I could sort of leave it there, but we'll a little bit more. I mean,
go ahead.
You got the list there. TJ Hawkinson, Noah Fant, George Kittle, and your boy Dallas Clark.
Yeah, there it is.
All huge producers from Iowa. Like, I mean, pretty much you go to Iowa if you want good linemen and you want good tight ends. Like, I mean, they have
good
a very
corners, dude. Good corners.
Honestly, yeah, good corners as well, but definitely offensive linemen and tight ends. Like, they have a good track record developing a lot of great prospects at those 2 particular position groups. But I mean, Laporta led the Hawkeyes in receiving yards and receptions the past 2 years, and not only did he lead them, he led them by a wide margin too. Like, I know
that's not a tall margin considering last year, but
Iowa's not a big
impressive,
passing team.
Impressive.
Yes, Iowa's not a big passing team. They do like to go through the run more, but just still, for him to be the leader, like, I mean, that says something about Iowa sort of relying on him to move them down the field consistently through the air, be a dependable target for them for sure. So he runs routes well. He catches the ball naturally. Like, it's not a difficult thing for him. He always catches his hands as opposed to bringing it into his chest. Works as an inline tight end as well as they put him in the slot as well. So, I mean, he has the ability to work either way. So if you want to keep him in line, you could do that. If you want to put him on the outside as a receiving threat, you could do that. He shows toughness and eagerness to get more yards after the catch. Like, this guy will not go down. Like, I mean, he catches the ball. He is immediately looking to move upfield and get more yards to get that yak. So, I mean, if you have that style of offense, you could definitely benefit from having Sam Laporta in your offense then. And, I mean, this is pretty much the standard for most of these tight ends. Like, I mean, you see the ability, but I think you could definitely use some refinement with his blocking skills. I think there were times where defenders were able to push him around because he didn't have good hand technique or he wasn't set up properly to take on the upcoming defender sort of thing. So he did get overpowered at times, but you saw the willingness. You saw that he was trying to set up at times. And there's times like he looked really, really good in the blocking game as well. But just, yeah, I think it just wasn't consistent enough, but that will easily get coached up at the next level. Honestly, I think he's just going to be a really difference maker. He's going to be a solid contributor. And I think whoever drafts him is going to get a sneaky pick, a sneaky steal wherever they decide to draft him. Most likely I see him going in day 2, either late second round or probably early third round, depending on how the other positions play out, but definitely a day 2 pick for sure.
No, I agree. I see him going either third or fourth round. And again, the comparison is just so easy. I have to make it is like he is George Kittle because
Yeah.
he is a super athletic tight end with all the promise there. He just needs a little time to develop.
And I
And
think the
if he,
big thing too, Tad, is like early George Kittle, because that's exactly
yeah,
what I
no,
saw.
that's what I mean.
That's exactly what I saw in the tape with Laporta and George Kittle as well. It's like early George Kittle, not the George Kittle that we see today, because
No,
obviously this is a well coached up, well, developed George Kittle. But early George Kittle, his rookie season and back when he was at Iowa, yes, I see very similar play styles with Laporta as well.
like there's so much there to work with. Ooh, but man, we really need to work on some things.
That's
Like
true.
that's kind of
That's
thing.
true.
Because I mean, who the hell thought when the 49ers drafted George Kittle, oh, that's gonna be arguably the best tight end of all
No,
time?
seriously,
No one.
seriously.
No one did.
Because I
But the
watched
the
this tape too when the Niners drafted him, because I always do that with my prospects whenever they get drafted. I'm pretty sure you do the same, as they watch the tape to see it's like, oh, okay, I see the potential as to why they drafted this guy. But yes, 100%, I was nowhere thinking, oh, this guy's gonna be a future Hall of Famer with his playability.
yeah, exactly.
He just developed well and became such an electric tight end now at the NFL level. So we'll see if that can happen with Laporta. I can't
Yeah,
guarantee it, but like you see the raw ability for sure.
yeah, right. That's what makes Laporta so interesting is because all the seeds are there. But
Mhm.
again, this is the hard part of the draft is like if he goes to the wrong team, it won't amount to anything. But if he goes to the right team, this could be yet another. You ran through the list, yet another Iowa tight end that ends up being one of the greatest of all time. And and I don't mean that lightly. The promise is there. It's a question of does he go to the right coaching staff. I know I say that for a bunch of prospects, but honestly, at the end of the day, that is one of the big things with the NFL draft is does the coaching staff understand the player they are taking? And sometimes they don't, and that's hugely frustrating. So I really hope the team that takes Laporta recognizes what they have, which is you cannot force this guy to be a starter right away. But if you have him as number 2 for a year or two, you got a sleeper on your hands. Absolutely.
100% agree with that one. Yeah, Laporta, I think, is going to be one of those gems that you find in day 2, possibly early day 3, sort of as you're projecting here. But whoever drafts him, if they train him well and develop him well, yeah, he could be a really big difference maker at the professional level.
Which, by the way, I can already hear people be like, "You're saying the same thing about tight end after tight end." This tight end class is ridiculously deep. Like,
Yeah.
and this is the reason why is because they all have this type of promise. They all have this type of athleticism. Like, basically 1 through 10 might as well have been like be 1, 2, and then 3A, 3B, 3C, 3D, and then like so on. Because like this class is ridiculous. I can't believe the more I scout them, the more I'm like, I don't know. I like them all. They're fast. They're big. Like it's just this is ridiculous.
Yeah, because I mean, we brought up Tucker Kraft out of South Dakota State in a previous episode. I think
Yeah,
he's
I
got a lot
did.
of
We
potential.
never
Like,
even brought him up. Like,
yeah,
yeah.
he's going to be great. I think at the next level as a receiving threat. I brought up Zach Kuntz out of Old Dominion. He's got the big height
that's a
and
good pick.
raw ability, very similar to Darnell Washington. Not the same level, but I think he's got the same make and build that you could potentially see and develop and be a big threat at the next level. Like, I mean, there's Payne Durham out of Purdue, who we talked about at the Senior Bowl. Like, I mean,
I don't like him as much as you like him, but yes.
I remember Will and Jamal also talked a lot about him as well when he was making some plays at the Senior Bowl. So, I mean, the potential's there. I mean, I think that's this big thing that Tad, you already said already, and I'm just going to echo the sentiment too. It's just that there's a lot of great prospects in this year's tight end draft class. And as long as you can develop them well, you can have very, very good production from them at the professional level for sure. So, yeah, I mean, like we talked about, Tad, I mean, I feel like there's 5 or 6 other tight ends that we can talk about.
Basically, title of this video: which tight ends are good? All of them.
Exactly. For real. But yeah, we are going to be releasing our 1 through 10 top 10 ranking. It's going to be difficult because there's a lot of great talent there.
I don't know how I'm going to do that.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. So hopefully you should see that in the next couple of days. The best way you can find out when that graphic is going to be dropping, you see it down below. You see the ticker right there. You can follow us on Twitter. You got my personal handle, Everside23, Tad's at TadDecide94. You got the show handle at The Decide Guys. And of course, we're on Instagram at The Decide Guys as well. And definitely keep listening to our podcast podcast and watching our videos on YouTube. So subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast, whether that's on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. You can listen right on the LAFB Network website as well. Subscribe, always be up to date with the podcast. For watching us on YouTube, just hit that subscribe button to our YouTube channel, and you'll always be up to date with our YouTube videos as well. Make sure you subscribe to the LAFB Network's YouTube channel as well, because we have our own playlist there. So we have a lot of great content on top of all the great content they are dropping with Chargers news, Rams news, Bruins news, and Trojans news as well. And Tad, big thing as to why you want to subscribe to both YouTube channels as well as following us on Twitter. We are doing the NFL draft live stream for both day 1, day 2, and a portion of day 3. We're still figuring out as far as how much of day 3 we're doing.
We will not stick around for round 7. I refuse to do that. I need my sleep. I need my sleep.
I don't think we'll be going that long, but 100% will be there for day 1 and day 2, which covers rounds 1 through 3. We're figuring out day 3, but we'll definitely be doing a live stream on day 3 as well. So make sure you subscribe to everything that I already said, because that's the best way you can find out when we'll be going live. Well, we'll be going live when the draft goes live, but I mean, just it'll keep you the reminder that, hey, tune in, watch our draft coverage. We're going to have a good time. We're going to have guests. We're going to give you great content as it's all going on. Figuring out the drafts, obviously how that will affect fantasy stuff too, because that will be coming up sooner than you think too. So yeah, it's going to be a fun time. So make sure you tune in for that. And to everybody who's already, subscribed to our YouTube channel, who's listening to the podcast, interacting with us on social media, I mean, just anything and everything you guys you're doing to support us, we just can't thank you enough.
And like Amir said, we are about roughly 3 weeks away from the NFL draft starting. So be sure to tune in for that live stream, because me, Amir, everybody at LAP Network have been putting in such hard work to make this, the best experience it can be for us and for you guys. That's the most important thing, is for you guys. So be sure to tune in, because we cannot wait to share that experience with you. We are not done with our rankings yet. We just wrapped up tight ends. We're moving on. I think we're doing offensive line. O-line, tackles and guards.
We're definitely doing it as a graphic. We may not do every ranking episode. We do have a lot of other great draft content coming, but we will have graphics for pretty much all of this.
So we'll have graphics, not for pretty much. We will have graphics for every position. We podcast wise, we are moving on to the defense. So if you're more defensive kind of who hits hard guy, we got you covered. That's going to start coming in next week. So be sure to stay tuned for that. And guys, we have so many more fun ideas coming up that are still in discussion, so can't reveal anything. But as always, none of this would be possible without you. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. Cannot tell you how much we appreciate the support. So please, as always, everyone, thank you so much and stay safe.